Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Connor Blay, and this is internationalstudent.com's Things to Know About U.S. Culture. Anyone who's stayed in a country other than their own for an extended period of time can tell you that culture shock is real. Adjusting to a new way of life can be jarring, and it will likely take some time before you can say that you are comfortable living in your home away from home. But that's why we're here today to talk about U.S. culture. Now, don't expect to escape culture shock just from this info. It's likely that you'll experience it on some level. However, we hope that this event will help you feel more confident about beginning life in the US this fall. All right, so first we have some American values. The first one that we will talk about is individualism. Now, individualism is common. Not everybody not every American thinks individualistically. However, in general, this is kind of the mentality that Americans tend to cling to. Um, according, excuse me. Um, Whereas some cultures may value community success over individual success, U.S. culture encourages individual success. It may be hard to grasp for some people who are used to a close-knit community in their home country. Homesickness is pretty much unavoidable. However, we suggest going in with an open mind as it will be nice to gain a sense of independence. Many end up liking the individual mindset that comes with living in the US. And of course, you can always visit or call home and join groups on your college's campus to regain the feeling of belonging to a close-knit group. All right, so next up, we have informality. Typically, Americans act in an informal way, but in some parts of the southern US, manners are a big part of the culture. Saying please and thank you is an unspoken rule in these areas. And it's also important to many people across the US that you demonstrate respect for your elders and superiors. Common ways to do this include holding open the door for them, letting them take the seat on the bench, being polite in general. Unless they state that they prefer something else, most professors will prefer to be addressed as professor or if they hold a PhD, doctor. For example, if in an email to your professor, you would start it with something like, "Hello, Professor Jones, comma," and then state your message. Um, when you meet someone, listen closely to how they prefer to be addressed, as this will be important in the future. In general, in informal environments, Americans like to behave in a very relaxed manner towards each other. However, you can expect most people's everyday style to be pretty casual, and people will almost always introduce themselves as their first names. Things like that may be a huge change from the culture that you're used to, and you should never feel like you need to change who you are to fit in. But we encourage you to spend time with American friends to get a feel for the way they talk and behave. When you spend time with your American friends, you'll start to understand how they act and could even find the informality refreshing. So next up, we have directness as an American value. Um, we tend to value directness in the way we communicate as Americans. Now, this isn't to say that it's acceptable to be completely direct in all social situations. For example, if your friend asks what they're wearing, if what they're wearing looks good on them, they will likely want you to affirm their style choice by saying it looks good, even if you secretly don't like what they're wearing. It's just the polite thing to do unless your friendship allows otherwise. By directness, we mean that Americans usually aren't afraid to confront conflicts and disagreements. In general, we believe that the best way to solve a problem is to communicate about it. We also like our friends to be open about who they are and what they've been through. If you make a friend that you trust, it's perfectly okay to open up. In fact, we encourage you to, because having someone to support you during the transition to your new country is a very important thing. All right, moving on to personal hygiene. Having good personal hygiene is very important to Americans. Most shower regularly and brush their teeth every day. Americans also like to use products like deodorant, body spray, and perfume to cover body odor. You can find pretty much any hygienic product in a grocery store for a few dollars. There's no need to spend a lot of money on expensive products unless you want to. Hygienic products are abundant in the US, so you can experiment with different brands and products or just find products that you like and stick to them. One thing you don't want to do, however, is use too much body spray, as doing so puts people off and can even cause others to be physically uncomfortable with headaches. No, don't wear too much perfume. We don't like that. Attitudes is the next thing we have. So typically Americans are very friendly. Perhaps sometimes we're even a little bit fake friendly. One of my friends in college was an international student, and she revealed to me that it took a while for her to learn that "how are you" is a question that doesn't always require an answer. It's more of a greeting than a genuine question. Even though we have those superficial tendencies, it's safe to say that most Americans are willing to go out of their way to help. So if you ever find yourself lost on campus or in need of any other kind of help, just ask. Most of the time, the person you ask will be more than willing to help out. Okay, so next up, we have language. The language here, American English, is very heavy on slang words and phrases, which is part of the informality that comes with life in the US. If you have a favorite US slang word or phrase, go ahead and send that in the comments. I'd love to see what they are. Now, here are some slang terms that you'll probably hear a lot while you study in the US. Hang or hang out. If someone says that they want to hang or hang out, it's an invitation to spend time with them. For example, a classmate might ask something like, "I'm going to the pool this weekend. Would you want to hang with me?" So yeah. Next up, we have roomie. That's just a short version of the word roommate. Chill. This one can mean pretty much the same thing as hang or hang out. Do you want to come over and just chill? Or it can be used to describe someone's easygoing attitude. For example, someone might say, "You have to meet my friend Javier. He's so chill." Same here. This is another way of saying "I agree with you" or "me too." "I feel you" is a way to express someone to someone that you understand how they're feeling. And that's on the next slide. Switch that. For example, someone might be complaining about not getting enough sleep, and you could respond with "I feel you." I have so many exams this week too. All-nighter. You'll hear this a lot in college. It's when you stay up all night, usually to cram in for an exam or finish an assignment in the library. You'll hear things like, "I'm pulling an all-nighter to prepare for my biology exam." "My bad" is a less formal way of saying "excuse me" or "my mistake." "I'm down." That's a way to accept an invitation. For example, if someone asks you to make it to a party over the weekend, you can say, "I'm down." Wasted or drunk. You're at the party and you hear someone describe someone else as wasted or drunk. That means they've had too much alcohol, and usually not in a positive way. Ace is to get a perfect 100% score. For example, someone might say, I'm so going to ace my intro to finance final." Gonna, that is a shortened version of going to. And y'all means you all. That's on the next slide too. Let me switch that. Sorry about that. Y'all means you all, and that's used heavily in the South. And then buck is another way of saying dollar. And I put up the wrong slide. Sorry about that. We are having a little bit of difficulties right now. Let me put this up. There we go. Sorry about that. So you guys can see those. I'll post these slides after on our page so that you guys can have them if you want them. Next up, let's talk about politics. And I don't mean let's get into a debate about politics. I mean, let's just talk about how Americans deal with politics. They're big on politics. Most Americans have very strong opinions. on matters such as guns and whether or not citizens should own them. But it may come as a surprise to a lot of Americans, or that a lot of Americans tend to avoid the topic altogether because political disagreements can potentially cause tension in relationships with friends and other loved ones. This is especially true in today's political climate. In general, the best advice we can give you on discussing political matters is to read the room. And when we say that, read the room, we mean to take social cues from other people you are in conversation with. If the discussion is lighthearted, it's a good idea to steer clear from serious political discussion. However, you're in conversation with people who are open about their opinions and attitudes, then it's okay to share your own thoughts, usually. But be prepared to not always agree with others and try to keep your emotions to yourself. Avoid insults, as this will cause emotional responses. Someone, excuse me, sorry. So if someone makes a political discussion personal by insulting you, usually the best thing to do is just remove yourself from the conversation rather than engage in an argument. When discussing politics, share your own opinions and stick to the facts you know, but also be open-minded and listen to others, as you can always learn from other people with different perspectives. All right, so now I'm going to talk about food. Excuse me, let me just take a drink really quick. So food in America, as most of the world knows, Americans love food. Portion sizes in the States are generally bigger than other countries. So that'll take some getting used to if you're used to a smaller portion size. As you probably know, foods like hamburgers, hot dogs, fried chicken, chocolate chip cookies, and brownies are among the most popular American foods. But much of the cuisine in the US is influenced by cuisines from around the world. For example, spaghetti and meatballs, fajitas, spicy tuna rolls, and fortune cookies are all invented in America, despite largely being perceived as foreign to Americans. While studying here, you might miss your home country's cuisine, but the good news is that there are countless restaurants that serve authentic foreign cuisine in the US, many of which are owned and operated by immigrants. Plus, if you cook, you can always head to the store and buy ingredients to prepare your favorite meal. In the US, people like to bond over food. So when we aren't social distancing anymore, you can invite friends over to try your food and socialize. Now, the last thing that we're going to discuss is TV, film, and music. This is a fun one. As a country that's home to Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world, the US takes TV, film, and music very seriously. TV, film, and music are very much ingrained in US culture. Much like food, Americans like to bond over their favorite TV shows, music, and movies. On any given day, you can be walking to class and overhear a couple of classmates having an in-depth discussion about the latest and greatest Netflix series. While in the US, it might be beneficial to subscribe to a streaming service like Netflix if you aren't already. Hulu and Spotify offer discounts for students enrolled at colleges in the US. You might also want to explore cable TV options if it's not included in your accommodations. There are also so many great music artists based in the US, and opportunities to see them live pop up all of the time when we're not in a pandemic. And even now, some artists are returning to live performances in the US, and many are requiring proof of vaccination, negative COVID test results, and/or masks. Local music venues also offer an incredible social environment where you can meet new people and discover new music. No matter where you live, there's always some form of entertainment going on in the US. All right, so that is the last slide that I have. Hi, Polly. Thank you for joining, or Polly. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. So Yeah, with that, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you have any questions about US culture that you didn't get to ask, feel free to send us a comment or message, and we'll answer them as soon as we can. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.